Hey there, I'm Michael Giblin with Fiddlershop.com, and today, music is taking on science. What I want to know is, can you hear the difference between 14 grams? To break this down, how I got started on this was that we traditionally tell beginners to start with 4 fine tuners on their tailpiece. It just makes life a whole lot easier. And we have traditionally used these nice wooden tailpieces. This is an ebony one. We have rosewood or boxwood. Problem is that they are heavy, and when you add the 4 fine tuners to it, it gets even heavier. So we have switched to these carbon composite tailpieces that have the 4 fine tuners built right in. On the plus side is that they're a lot lighter, and we've been getting some great comments that they sound so much better than the wooden tailpieces. However, a lot of people, really prefer the look of the wooden tailpieces and want the option to remove the 3 of them if they don't need them. So, what I decided to do was I'm gonna play first with the wooden tailpiece and the 4 fine tuners, and then switch to the carbon composite tailpiece and using the same strings, the same violin, same bow, and see if you can hear the difference. To get started, the wooden tailpiece with the tail gut included came in at a whopping 36 grams, whereas the carbon composite tailpiece came in at a mere 22 grams. So what I want to know is, can you hear the difference between 14 grams or not? Okay, so I'm going to play some things for you. I've got the ebony tailpiece with the 4 fine tuners, got the artist violin, and this is the Holstein 2-star bow that I'm going to use after I change the tailpiece too. So here we go. Set up. I'll play some open strings for you. All right, I'm gonna go change it. We'll be right back. And now this is the exact same thing, but with the carbon composite tailpiece. Here are the open strings. observations of my own just from switching these out is that you do need a longer tail gut for the wooden one than the shorter one. The carbon composite can use a shorter tailpiece because it just has a much narrower gap right there. One thing. When putting the fine tuners on this wooden tailpiece, you have to get something metal like a screwdriver or something to kind of pry them open a little bit because they're designed for E strings and those are very narrow. And so when you try to put an A or D or G in there, there's not enough room. So you have to kind of widen that thing. I don't know what you call that, the little gap thing, just a little bit more. Besides that, there was possibly a little bit of room for human error in that when I remove the strings, the bridge falls down. And so when putting the new tailpiece on, the bridge might have been slightly in a different place, but I mean, it sounds great where it is. I don't think I really messed that up or got it in really difference. And you can kind of see the little imprints of where the bridge used to be. So I think I got it pretty close. Besides all that, I think I can really hear a little bit clearer, a little bit quicker response with the carbon composite tailpiece because it's lighter. There's just not as much weight that needs to get moving for the violin to speak. So it was very slight, but I think it was a noticeable difference. So I hope that was helpful and interesting to see the effects that weight has on the tailpiece of your violin. And it might be difficult to hear the difference between these videos just on YouTube, especially if you're listening to this on your phone. But I think if it's your instrument, a sound that you know intimately, that you'll hear a difference if you switch to a lighter tailpiece. And again, this is of course just talking about if you really want the convenience of having 4 fine tuners. If you don't need 4 fine tuners, the ebony tailpiece with just 1 fine tuner clocks in at just over 20 grams. And by that same logic, you could get carried away and say, well, you could just play with no fine tuners at all, in which case the wooden tailpiece with no fine tuners is a mere 15 grams. So it is possible and you could get carried away, but I think the inconvenience of not having any fine tuners would drive you crazy. You would probably have to have a geared peg, such as the Wittner or the Perfection planetary peg, to really make that feasible. So I hope again that was helpful for you. If you need a different tailpiece or tailgut or more fine tuners, I have links for all that stuff in the description box below. You can probably click somewhere up here and find it as well. Again, we would love it if you subscribe to our channel so we can keep in touch. And I hope to see you at fiddlershop.com. Thanks so much.